I'm back. Same day, different hour. Anyhow, just picking up a little bit on the video previous to this one. This would be part 5, I guess. Yeah, part 5. Anyhow, just touching on the previous video, I just want to do a screen share here quickly, show you something. Yeah, we're still talking about securities, of course. This is Ontario Security Transfer Act. You find the same in Article UCC Article 8.103D. I think between both the Ontario Securities Act and the UCC, they're word for word exactly the same, if I'm not mistaken. So you see that the Ontario Securities Act is the same as the UCC, or the UCC is the same as the Securities Transfer Act. In fact, when I was going through the two different pieces of legislation, it's amazing how many, especially in the definition section or parts of the definition, they were word for word the same. Almost, let me put it this way, almost 100% identical, not throughout, but in any case. So anyhow, just so people have heads up on that as well, the Ontario securities legislation mirrors or is the same as basically the UCC, it's just under a different name. Anyhow, Bill of Exchange, promissory note, this is section 13 of the Securities Transfer Act. A bill of exchange or promissory note to which the Bills of Exchange Act Canada applies is not a security, but is a financial asset if it is held in a securities account. Key term here, or word here, held. If it is held. Okay, held. Let's think about that now. Held. So I'm just going to stop. I'll keep that up there for a moment, I guess. Back in the old days, when we were on the gold standard, when there was money backed by actual physical substance known as gold, the gold was held, the actual gold. Now, the gold was the security. Understand this, the gold was the security. When we were on the gold standard, the gold was the security, and the gold / security was held in a vault. It was held in the vault. Didn't go anywhere else. It was held in that vault. And I just could have stopped the screen share here for a second. Better if I see myself. Yeah, held in a vault. Okay. And as long as that, so it's, let me step back here. So somebody deposits some gold in the vault, and they get, remember, the receipts to evidence the deposit. So now the receipts, as I said in the previous video, these receipts were the claim to the gold. So these were not the money, but they were claimed to the gold, and the gold was the money. In fact, you can look on the internet and see silver certificates, for example. It tells you right on there that this is not the money. This is just a certificate. It's proof of claim to the money, being the gold held wherever it's held is indicated on the receipt. Seeing this, people don't really understand what money is, I guess. Maybe I never did either, but anyhow. So these receipts, basically a proof of claim to the gold, or that there was gold in the vault, circulated as money. Now here's the thing. Now think about this. These pieces of paper, these receipts that circulated were money, were good so long as the gold is held, stays in that vault. It doesn't go anywhere. It stays there. Okay. It's just the pieces of paper moving around. But if somebody was to, say, take the gold out of that vault, and these pieces of paper are worthless. Okay, now the other way that the gold disappears out of the vault is somebody comes forth with their receipt or claim to the gold, or a multitude of receipts. It could be a multitude of receipts. If there's a bunch of gold coins deposited, 100 gold coins, there could easily be 100 receipts issued in circulation backed by those 100 gold coins. If somebody was to, redeem the notes for the gold, then obviously that gold would no longer be held in the vault. But I'm just saying, in a hypothetical situation, if the gold was to, somebody was to take the gold, and so the guys go to claim for the gold, and the goalkeeper says, we don't have any gold here. Somebody took it. All of those pieces of paper would be worthless. So the gold was the security, is the point. Today, the promissory note is the security. A promissory note is not gold, but it's as good as gold. In fact, it performs the same function that gold performed. The promissory note is the security if, I'm going to show you again, I'm getting dramatic, drive the point home. If it is held in a securities account, meaning it doesn't leave the account, it stays there. Then once it's in there, now whatever is the output of that. So you put they deposit gold in a vault, and the output is the receipt, the proof of deposit of whatever the value, the coins or whatever, by weight, whatever. Same thing here. So your security, your financial asset, your promissory note, as long as it's held in the securities account, then there's an output from that. And the output from that is not the receipts like the old days, but it circulates as money, the checks, for example. Now, these checks is not credit. Remember, the security is the credit. It credits the account, and it's only so long as the note is held in the account. If you take the note out of the account, then there's no credit in the account anymore, is there? There's no security in the account, so there's nothing there. So the point is ultimately is that the promissory note is a financial asset if it's held and must remain held in that securities account. So there's the credit. Now the output of that is the debt, and debt circulates as money. I think most people are aware of that. Debt circulates as money. And that's not a bad thing. I think people misunderstand that. It's a bad thing, I guess, if you've borrowed from the bank, it's a bad thing. Now that we know you actually funded your own loan, so you didn't really actually borrow anything from the bank, you funded your own loan. And, we discussed that in a previous video. So look at it this way. The credit is the plus, and there's an output from that. The check is that's the debt. Debt circulates as money. All the business people have done in their lives since they've been born on this planet, they've acquired whatever with debt. It's not a problem. The problem is we're not claim because we don't claim those securities, that debt cannot come back home. So we got to plus the credit. I'm a simple guy. I'm just using simple figures here. I'm not an accountant either. And this is the double bookkeeping entry system is involved in here. Keep that in mind as well. There's shenanigans going on there. So the promissory note credits the account so long as if it's held in the securities account. It's so long as this note is held in a securities account, it credits the account for that amount. It has to stay there. The note doesn't come out and then get spent out there. No. This is the credit. There's an output from that, and that's what circulates as money, and that's the debt. That's what we have claim to, you see, because they're already holding the credit, get it, held in the securities account. So they're holding our credit that we've granted. We're not creditors. Let me clarify that. I'm a grantor, not a creditor. This is a trust situation, not a creditor-debtor situation. Completely different set of rules apply. You want the trust, not the law contract working with us here. So yeah, as long as that note is held in that account, then the credit is there, and that's the security. That's what backs the debt, the paper that circulates as money, and the debt is basically what's owed, the obligation that's owed, as I explained previously. So the thing is because we haven't reclaimed, when we reclaim the securities, we have claim to this debt out there. And this is the debt that has to be brought back home. And until it's brought back home for cancellation of the debt, meaning that you bring the minus back to the plus. So $5 plus, $5 minus equals zero. It's the only way to get the accounts to zero, people. And we're not doing that. Never have. I don't know when. Well, let me put it this way. I don't know anyone that has. You say you can't pay debt with debt. That's true. We're not talking about that here. Here we're talking about reclaiming our securities so we can bring that debt, the proceeds. Remember I said the proceeds? So the note is like the gold bar held in a vault. That's the credit. That's the security. And the proceeds, like the apples on an apple tree, is the proceeds of the apple tree. Whoever owns the tree owns the fruits. Whoever owns the gold owns those, has the receipts, has the claim to the gold. And same with the promissory notes. So promissory note is the credit in that account, but it has to be held in that account, and it is held in that account. So it's not credit that circulates as money. It can't, because if you want to take the credit out of that account, then it's no longer held in the securities account. It's no longer a financial asset. In other words, same thing with gold. It's not a financial asset. That there's nothing backing the pieces of paper in circulation if the gold's not in the vault. It has to be held there. So just close your eyes and think, okay, the bar of gold in the vault, I can see that. As long as that's there, then yes, the pieces of paper that circulate as money, they're actually claimed to that gold. If anybody actually wants to go get the gold, it's all good. My promissory note is basically the same thing. It's not the gold, but it performs the exact same function. And it's not the gold circulating as the money, it's the pieces of paper circulating as the money. And those pieces of paper are evidence of debt, meaning whoever's holding the gold, we owe this gold to somebody, this money to somebody. Get it? So anyhow, I hope that addresses on, let me just take the screen share off here. I'm going to do a short pause, just check my notes, make sure I've said what I wanted to say on this wee video. Thanks, Chuck. Yeah, so anyhow, when we were on the gold standard, the gold was held in the vault. today, and it was called Gold Vault. We're on a substance system. We're no longer in a substance system. When they took out the gold, they took us off a substance system. This is why there's no substance in the system. It's all just form only now. And this is why trying to fit man into the system is really dumb, as I've come to know, and maybe others will catch on to. As a secure party creditor, any of that stuff is just plain dumb. I'm speaking to myself. I'm not preaching that to people out there, not making judgments here. But it is plain dumb. At the kind of laugh when we realized when we got onto this path, we were just reclaiming security stuff, how we've been chasing our tails, going around and around and around and around and around, and realizing it's all the securities. That's just they're presumed abandoned. And again, I stress there's a proper way to reclaim these things. But anyhow, there was something I wanted to say here. And I got to pause to get my head back just a sec. Yeah, so the physical gold was held in a physical actual vault. We'll fast forward to today, and a promissory note is not the gold. We don't use the term promissory note. We use the term securities. Securities includes all of these things, but we don't, because we're talking about securities. We don't want to focus on the term promissory note, because then, if that's the emphasis, then they go to the Bills of Exchange Act and the negotiable instruments legislation for that, which then could bring in the creditor-debtor relationship. This is why we don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about securities. You see, that's different. It all looks the same and sounds the same, but it's different. It's a different avenue. So, and then we can securities and qualify that in brackets, promissory note, qualify that way. But the emphasis on securities, not promissory notes or bills of exchange. Securities, as I showed you, includes bonds, notes, bills of exchange, so on and so forth. So the gold was held in the vault. Well, today your promissory note is not the gold, but it's like the gold, and it's, instead of being held in the vault, it's held in a securities account. It's just a change of words. So we've gone from a substance system to a non-substance system, and an account, as you know, it's not a place where you would go and deposit actual gold in a vault. You don't walk in and they lock the door. No. It's right here. And we got a promise to pay for $500,000. It's on the books. There it is. That's it. Hope that helps people. God bless. Love you. Ciao. Love and hugs. Hi. Just want to add a little cautionary note here. I've been talking about banking and quite a bit in promissory notes, so on and so forth, and reclaiming and getting money back, so on and so forth, or profits, proceeds, so on and so forth. And no doubt people are going to get ideas in their head that they can just send a letter off to the bank, and all you got to do is just inform the bank I didn't abandon the security. No, that's going to come back to me. Maybe. Highly unlikely. They're not going to lay down and die. It's never that simple, right, people? And so I'm putting that cautionary thing out there. There is, so I wouldn't count on them laying down and die or that kind of thing working. Regardless, it's paramount to have an understanding of the principles and concepts, I would say, before you send off paperwork, because paperwork without understanding of principles and concepts is kind of dumb, very dumb. And secondly, without proper foundation. In other words, there's the reclaiming securities, aside from learning how to reclaim your securities and what all that's about. So you have the understanding of the principles and the concepts, is also what we call the 4 steps that I would highly recommend you have in place before you do anything with this information, period. In other words, you set up a solid foundation for yourself, with which to stand on and work from. Your status, for one, is, I think I've touched on, is incorrect. And that's part of what this 4-step process is correcting, getting it down that path to correcting your status. And without the status corrected, anyhow, just putting that out there. And so people choose to run with it, the information they're hearing on these videos and the little bit they get from the blog and the different Word and PDF documents accessible through there. Go nuts. But if things go sideways for you, you lose the house, you lose the car, maybe worse, or it doesn't work. You're going to say, well, it didn't work. Just remember this video here, and probably because it was you that didn't work and didn't put in the time and effort to acquire the understanding of the principles and the concepts. So that's my cautionary note for people. And, like I say, our information package provides all the information you need to know, but you got to put in the effort. Anyhow, God bless you. Love you. Ciao for now.